Oh, hello, everybody. This is Jay Wicker with Small Business Stand Up, and we're back again, guys. Back again, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Um, Today we have a special guest on here, Mr. Anthony Sherrod. Am I saying that right?
You saying right?
Mr. Mr. Anthony Sherrod, man. This guy's phenomenal, man. He does a little bit of everything. We have a nonprofit. We're gonna talk a little about that as well. And plus, is a basketball. You have a basketball. What do you call it again? Tournament that you're
Uh,
doing as well, right?
no, I got basketball teams.
You got basketball team, so you got basketball
Yes,
teams as well. So,
yeah.
and as usual, guys, we're gonna talk about business and everything, man. So, and one of the things I want to know about, man. Let's jump right into this thing, man. Everybody, as you come in, please like, share, and subscribe, man. And you guys want to jump on? If you have a business you want to jump on, please feel free. I'm gonna get ready to send a link right now through the comments, so just jump on, man. No cussing, guys. That's my only thing. All right. So yeah, let's jump right into this thing, man. So one of the questions I want to ask you, man, I know you're talking about grants and stuff like that, right? And I
Yeah.
know a lot of times, man, that's one of the first thing I hear from us a lot of times, man. Tell me why
Yeah.
grants are good. What's the pros and cons to getting a grant,
All right. Matter of
or
fact,
are there?
I just wrote something about that. Just a minute. Right if I get on here about the pros and cons of grants. The pros of let's talk about the pros and cons of grants. The bad part is if you're a nonprofit or one business, it's only you use that for your only sort of income. It's a lot of paperwork.
It's
Well,
it's a
yeah,
it's, it's a lot
a
of
lot.
paperwork with grants.
Yeah, a lot of paperwork for grants, and I always tell my clients if you're a nonprofit, do more than just grants for your a nonprofit because grants if you use a grant, it's a lot of paperwork. It's very strict on what you use the money for and stuff like that. That's what I'm
Okay.
telling you. To tell do fundraisers or fundraising events. That's it's more flexible and stuff like that.
Okay, let's do this right quick. Let's introduce ourselves real quick, man. I kind of got ahead of us real quick. So,
Uh,
Mr. Anthony Sherrod, tell us where you logging in from. What do you do? All that good stuff.
I'm from DeSoto, Texas, and I do a couple of different things. One of them, I have my own business called Legacy Impact Management. And what we do, we have nonprofits, startup, event planning, and helping fundraise money for nonprofits.
Excellent, excellent. Miss Lachey, how are you?
Hey, good
How you?
evening to you both.
Happy New
Good,
Year.
good.
Happy New Year. It is our first meeting for the year, so
Yep,
Happy New
yep,
Year.
yep. So tell us your name. Tell us where you logging in from and what you do.
Yeah, definitely. So, my name is Lachey LaRue, and I am the owner of Cherished Investments. It is a business development and marketing agency, and I help entrepreneurs to create a solid foundation for their business that allows them to scale and work less in their business. And I help them to create a marketing plan that is target audience centered, that puts the customer as the hero of their story and creating just more loyal customers so that they can actually increase their sales and build those stronger relationships with them.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So we was talking to Mr. Sherrod about grants, the pros and cons.
Okay.
So one of you said the cons is basically it's a lot of paperwork, right? When you mean by a lot of paper, what are we talking about? Because I mean, I've heard people say, "Can you write a grant for me?" Or "Do you know anybody know how to write a grant?" Or whatever the case is. So you telling me like how much paper are we talking about, roughly?
I Yep. Sometimes a post can be up like 25 pages.
Okay, that's not too bad, especially if you're asking for some real money, right?
Yeah,
And I
Right,
guess you got to
right.
know what you're asking for, or how to fill it out, or whatever the case is. So,
yeah.
okay,
And that's one thing that I'll say too. So, depending on the grant that you file for, it's going to determine the number of pages that it is. But I would say, they can still sometimes be worth filling out because a lot of people are afraid of the number of pages that it is. So, it
Mm,
makes, it creates less competition. I mean, if they have $500,000 and only a handful of people actually apply to it, that's going to increase your chances of being able to get that grant, but you have to make sure that you're following directions. That's the biggest thing when it comes to filing for grants, is making sure they're going to tell you exactly what it is that they want you to include in that grant. Just make sure you follow the instructions and you should be good. And there are great people out there like Anthony who specialize in the nonprofit area. And I would definitely say if it feels overwhelming to kind of take on that endeavor by yourself, don't do it alone. Seek a professional to help you out and know what your options are and if that is your best option.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys a question. So why would you do that though? And this is why I'm saying that. I know a lot of people, man, who the first thing they said, let's get a grant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if they have never ran a business, because it's a nonprofit, right? It's not for profit or whatever the case is, right? And a grant, you can do it for whatever, right?
Right.
A grant, okay. So if you haven't ran a business before and you go out and try to get these grants in order to get a business and run it or whatever the case is, in my mind, I'm thinking, why would I even do that? Because when you're dealing with the government, what I learned about the government is that it's a lot of red tape.
Right.
Right? They never say, here's the money, do what you want to do with it or whatever the case is, right? So everything that you do, you got to do it under their guidelines, so to speak. And if they decide to not support you no more, you're in a bad situation. Am I saying that right?
So now he can correct me if I'm wrong, but to my knowledge, there are actually private grants. Not all grants come from the government. So to answer your first question, why would you apply for a grant? Because it's free money. So,
okay.
So it's like this. Right. So it's like this. When it comes to loans is not free money. Loans have interest and you have to pay those back. For the most part, when it comes to grants, you're basically saying, hey, I have this thing that I am trying to do. I have thought this process out. I have a plan in place. I am not just a fly-by-night organization or business, whether I am a startup or I've been in the business for a while. I'm serious. That's the point of the paperwork, to show them how serious you are and exactly what it is that you plan to do before they give you this free money. That's the reason why it can actually be for-profit, or it can be governmental grant or nonprofit grants, because sometimes there are people who just have a lot of money and they just want to, almost like scholarships. That's the best way I can explain it. It's a grant is basically like a scholarship for businesses and nonprofits, and you do not have to have a nonprofit in order to get a grant. So that's another thing that I do want to, because a lot of times, so I say this because a lot of times I hear people say, oh, I want to open up a nonprofit because I want to get a grant. But you don't necessarily have to have a nonprofit to have a grant. And a lot of people, where they mess up and why they don't qualify is because they don't do their 501c3 paperwork properly, which essentially it's just a tax code. 501c3, that's just a tax code. And that process is a governmental situation that has a lot of red tapes, and you got to be specific on what it is you're going to do. And it can take a little bit of time and it can be overwhelming for people. And if you need that tax status in order to apply for that grant, well, you're automatically going to be denied, because that was, again, read the instructions. So first, be clear with what your goal is, and then find a grant that meets what that goal is. There are grants out there to help entrepreneurs to get new buildings. There are grants out there to help them pay for their employee payroll so that they're able to scale and bring on more employees. There are grants out there if you have a transportation business to help you out with that. If you're in the healthcare, any industry you're in, there is probably a grant out there for you.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's amazing. See, I didn't know that part, right? That makes sense. That makes sense. Wow. So what is the process then? So how do you, I see something I want to get involved in. I want to get a grant. What do I need to do now? Like, do I need to contact a lawyer? What do I need to do? And that's
the first thing you just need, when they post online about a grant, like for a private one, for example, is read it first. The first thing you gotta do is read it, because it's how I apply for it. It tells you everything you need to do, how to apply for it, if you qualify for it. It's all the paperwork for it. Same way with the government ones. Same thing. Just gotta read. It makes it comes out. It tells you everything you need, who can qualify for it, and how you qualify for it.
Right. Man. And I would add in there a pre-step is research. That's how you find out what to read. So if you're looking for a grant in something specific, so let's say if I owned a hair care business, I would literally type in grants for hair care. and see what comes up. If I was just a general business owner, I would look up grants for business owners, grant for woman-owned business, grants for minority-owned businesses, and see what comes up. That would kind of be the first thing that I would do. And then as you're clicking through it, as he said, read through everything of exactly what the requirements are. But again, if this is all new to you and you're not really sure where to go, you can contact someone like Anthony, who is specialized within that area, who is dealing with these things on a regular basis, and he can let you know which ones would you have the highest likelihood to be able to get, what's going to make sense for you, or if maybe a grant isn't what you need to be looking for and you need to do something like he said, a fundraising event, because there are so many options when it comes to that. So utilize your resources. Don't be afraid of a Google search, and build your team. Like everything, like we're both in real estate, so always be building your team and have people like Anthony on your team who can answer your questions.
Amazing. So when a person is talking about, I hear people say, who knows how to write a grant? What does that mean? Is that just like a letter, or is that who know how to fill out all those paperwork you guys are talking about?
All paperwork, writing the proposal letter, all that. Get out information, getting the information, get out your documentation order for you apply for the grant.
Right, because so if you think about writing, right, all writing is not created equal. I can write an email and it sound beautiful. That does not mean that I am capable of necessarily writing a New York Times bestseller. So people who write grants, they have experience in grant writing, so they know what language and tone to use to increase your chances of actually getting the grant. Because when you've done it time after time after time after time, you know what areas you need to over explain and what areas you really don't have to invest too much time in, that somebody who just read the instructions, it's those things that are in between the lines of whatever instructions that they're asking for, and those small things can make a difference when, if they've got two people that they've got to choose between, and here's this person who just barely answered the questions and this person who elaborated and went into detail, that can actually be the deciding factor between those. So I would say that has been my experience of someone who does more of the grant writing. And it's the same thing, even for me, I deal with a lot of people who write blogs and who write social media. Each of these areas are their own specialty. So a grant writer is someone who specializes in writing grants and dealing with that approval process.
Yeah, technical writing, as they call it, for grant writers.
Right.
Yeah. Well, to everybody that's tuning in right now, please like, share, subscribe. You're tuning in to Small Business Stand Up. We talk a little bit about grant writing, right? So grant writing or getting grants and stuff like that. So when you get to, you get somebody to write up your grant for you who know exactly what they're doing, right? So do you they send it out to whoever it is, whether it's a private person or if it's the government or whatever the case is. Do they cut you a check once you're approved, or do they break it up in increments as you build your company?
Well, it all depends.
Okay.
Because they can say in the grant first came out, information, it tell you how you get paid. You get paid a lump sum, or they break it down by year.
Gotcha. Listen, I heard about grants and stuff like that for many years. I never dove in it. I never looked at it at all, right? So this is very interesting. I think the people who are watching is going to really benefit from this, right? And definitely, as you see Mr. Anthony here, man, that's what he actually does. So definitely reach out to him, man. Drop your email address, your social media real quick, man, before we get to that next question. You guys killed it.
All right.
Y'all killed it, bro. Y'all, bro. I ain't even got no more questions on that. Y'all broke that down. Go ahead,
my email, my website is legacyimpactmanagement.com, and my email is beintouch@legacyimpactmanagement. You can find it on all social medias as Legacy Impact Management.
All right. Tell them no. I keep thinking about this company here. Small SBS sent you. All right, so let's jump right into these business questions, man. So again, man, appreciate that, man. That was something kind of impromptu. We jumped right into that. So that worked out. That was pretty dope. So here's the question here. How to develop a powerful business message? Oh, man.
I love that one. Okay, so wheelhouse. That's gonna be my wheelhouse.
Okay. So let me start. Let me say this first real quick. So is it beneficial to have a message? Or, talk about a little bit of all of that good stuff, right?
I would say this. An analogy I use, it's like when you are looking for a job, what do? You create a resume. You have an idea of what types of jobs you're looking for. You make sure that verbiage meets what it is that you're trying to accomplish. You show up to that interview looking to the nine, fresh, clean. You're eager, excited, and ready. You care about the appearance that you're putting out there because you're trying to get a job. Well, it's the same with business, right? You're trying to get people to give you their money for their products or services. So the answer is, do you need one? If you want to be successful. if your goal is just to have a business for the sake of having a business, then by all means, baby, have at it. But if you want to have a successful business that is able to provide for your lifestyle, that is able to have longevity, then yes, you need a message. You need a business message, and it's all a part of your branding. Your branding is essentially your resume and your presentation the day you show up for that interview. All of that goes into it, that is exactly what your brand is. And that's why it's important. You know how they have that saying that you never get a second chance at a first impression? That's exactly what it is with your business. If people can't really read your logo, that's going to make an impact. If the quality of your social media post is not really there, that's going to make an impact. That's going to make a person pause for a second and think before they actually work with you. So you don't really want to put up all of these barriers when you're trying to get business. And that's why I say, if you want your business to be successful, you have to consider these things. And unfortunately, a lot of entrepreneurs surprisingly do not. And I don't think it's the fault of any one entrepreneur. I think it's something that just happens because we're not taught. School doesn't teach us about entrepreneurship. School doesn't teach us about being financially free. These are things that through life, you get a little nugget here and a nugget there, and you start to try to expand your knowledge on these things. And you really don't know what you don't know. But I appreciate you, Jay, for creating this platform where we're able to share that knowledge. So short answer, yes, you do need one. And then to follow up with the question on the screen, how do you develop a powerful business message? So the best way to do that is to remember that we are not salesmen. You can't make anyone buy anything, right? We are not in the business of selling products or services. We are in the problem solving business. That is, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, who you are. Anthony solves the problem of nonprofits who need to fund their business. That's a problem he's solving. He doesn't just have a nonprofit business. He's solving a problem. Jay, he's solving a problem of the lack of education out there sometimes or the accessibility of the education out there for fellow entrepreneurs. So he created this entire platform. He knew that working for a job would not provide financial freedom. So he solved that problem with real estate. So if you think about it in those terms as being a problem solver, then when it comes to your business message, it makes a lot more sense, right? Because that's not a category. The problem that you solve, that's a message. That is your message. The problem that you're solving, that is your message. And I would like to go a step further in how this outline looks. What you're really creating is what we call a brand script. And a brand script talks about exactly who your target audience. I call them the hero of the story. And a lot of people make the mistake and think that you as the entrepreneur or your business is the hero, but it's your target audience. Your customer is actually the hero of the story. They have a problem. That's your messaging. And then you are actually the guide that helps take them from this place of issue to this place where that problem is solved and life is so much better. So your message is explaining how you do that process, that you're explaining that you understand who they are, what they are going through. You understand exactly what their problem is, and you're presenting a solution for them, and you're calling them to action to solve that problem, and you're letting them know that you are there to help them with that process. So all the messaging and communication that you put out there to people should essentially do that.
Facts. Absolutely. Absolutely. What do you think about that?
That was my favorite question because I never get to talk about this, and it is so important. So thank you. Thank you so much for including
No,
this.
I knew you were not got the part. I know that's your wheelhouse right there. I already knew what
Yes.
time was. What do you think about that, man? How,
I agree.
how do you feel like a powerful business message?
It's same way in nonprofit work is your message. What you put out on social media, first thing people gonna look at is your social media, your Google, your Facebook, your Instagram, and you have a bad logo or just stuff that doesn't concern what you try and put out. It's gonna be a bad message for anyway. So nobody's gonna really mess with you if you have videos about cats and stuff, but your business is about doing hair.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I love that you brought that point up because that happens a lot. Stay on topic.
Yeah, right.
Stay on topic. A lot of times entrepreneurs, and this happens because their focus is that they, as the business owner, is the hero of the story. This business is not about you. You're not putting out what you want to put out there unless you plan on being the only customer, unless you plan on only dealing with yourself and people exactly like you, then good luck. But for the most part, you're not going to be able to truly scale your business, increase your income, and create that sustainability that you're really looking for. It's okay for you to have all those interests. That's what your personal profile is for. Your business profile is something totally different. It is its own person. It has its own energy. It has its own mission, and everything that you need to put up, that you want to put on your social profile, should feed into that mission. If it doesn't, then that's not the place for it. Maybe that's a place for another, just if it's truly a passion project, like he said, cats, if that's your thing, that's cool. Have a profile that you can dedicate to that, or put it on your personal profile, but do not add those things. I repeat, you guys, do not put those on your business profile, because you don't want for a person to scroll through their Instagram and I'm a dog lover, so I see this cat thing and I'm like, ugh, and I remove you and I unfollow you, not knowing that this was my favorite skincare line. But it just had content that I wasn't actually looking for. And that's the reason why you want to keep it specific to what your business is.
Or going live showing that it's a fight going on over here, guys.
Right.
On your business Facebook, right? You know what I'm saying? So we had a gentleman, man, that was on the podcast last year who was a chef, right? So we bring him on. And I feel like a sucker saying this without even talking to him first. But I'm gonna go ahead and do it, and I'll address him later, right? So I'm just keeping it real. I'm the type of person, I'm straight up. Listen, when we bring you on, right, to come on, man, I need to look at, see what you got going on. And in this situation, I didn't, right? But I know he can cook. I seen a couple of pictures or whatever. Okay, yeah, come on over. He did his thing. So we had some people reach out to us, man, who was this guy that was cooking the food or whatever the case is? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna shoot you his information. But I jumped on his Facebook, and about 8 different videos of him riding, smoking weed, and all kind of stuff. Right? It was just, I was like, I can't send them because it's representing me. You know what I'm saying?
So that's a good point, though, because it is. You got to consider that. You don't know what type of doors you're closing because, like your brand, so if people don't want to associate with that brand, it's not your cooking. So that's the thing. A lot of people complain, oh, well, I'm not getting the clients, I'm not getting the business, but they're doing stuff like that. That was a legitimate business opportunity for this person, and they missed out on that opportunity because they mixed their personal with their business. And I feel like people forget that in real life. If you smoke in your personal life and you had a job, would you put that on there? Like, you got to think about that. Like, people forget that the same stuff that you would not do in work, you would not go into your job smelling like weed with bloodshot eyes. You would not do that. So why would you show that online?
He missed a couple of catering gigs because of that. You know what I'm saying? So, and it was like, and I one thing I didn't do, I didn't cut the whole episode, right? I didn't take him completely off. I just left that on. So if they contact him directly, hey, more power to you. But I just I should have called him and told him that, but I didn't.
Right.
I act like a sucker when I did that, man. But it is what it is.
Often.
So.
That happens often.
Yeah,
So I'm really glad that you brought it up because you're showing the real worldness of it, right? So a lot of times people think it's not that big of a deal because maybe no one has said anything to them. Well, you're right. They just decided not to work with you. So while you're over here complaining that you don't have the money that you want to in your business, while you're complaining about that, it has nothing to do with the quality of your product. It has nothing to do with you necessarily and your personal as an individual, but you did not stay true to what you want your brand to be. Your brand is not one that other professionals are comfortable with associating themselves with. So you have to make a decision. Like I said in the beginning, do you have a business for the sake of saying that you're a business owner? And there are people who do have that mindset, whether they admit to it or not, or are you trying to have a successful business? And if you are trying to have a successful business, just the same way if you say, you know, I want a good job, I want to make 6 figures, I want that income, I guarantee you that job has some requirements about decorum, about what you can and cannot do inside the workplace. And there are certain things, as many of these people who have been recorded out in their personal lives, when that becomes public, you learn real quick how people do not like associating themselves with mess.
And newsflash, guys, when you apply for those jobs, the first thing they do is go to your social media to see what this person's really like. So if you're trying to get a job and for some reason you put all these applications in and nobody's calling you back, you might want to get rid of a lot of that stuff that's going on your social media.
Right.
We just keep it real here, right? So especially in business. That's the first thing we do. We're going online. We're going to look at Yelp reviews before we go to the restaurant, all kinds of stuff. I want to see what's going on in the neighborhood, see what's going on with this person. And if it's bad, I ain't going.
Right. Actually, banks are doing that too now too. Applying for loans and stuff. They look at your social media too.
Do you think that don't happen for grants? When you apply for a grant, check you up, check you out. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna look and see what you're about. We see what you say is on paper. Let's see what the social media says. Right? It happens. So check yourself, man. Get you a couple different accounts, man. Get you one alias somebody else and do what you're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? But on this,
and I will say that too, because some people they think just because it's my personal profile, then I can do whatever I want to. Again, plenty of people have been let go from their jobs because of not even stuff that they necessarily posted, but was posted of them. The moral to the story is you have to be conscious of your whole actions at all times because you never know who is watching. It's just that simple. If you are, especially if it's something that is business related, or if it is even if it is your personal profile, when it comes to those things that are technically not socially acceptable, again, we're not saying you can't post your cat videos or anything like that, but if it's illegal activity, I'm just saying that's not the best place. Online, it's not the best place to be doing those things because business people, customers, and jobs aren't the only ones who look at that stuff. My grandmother is a retired prosecutor, and they stay on everybody's social media looking up and seeing who doing what. Like you catch a case, first thing they're doing is looking up online. We all saw everything with Trayvon Martin when that happened with him, and they actually brought up his social media and were posting pictures of him trying to change the perception of that young man. So you never know how it's going to come out, but I think it should go without saying, but clearly it needs to be said. Don't post illegal activity on nobody's social profile.
Listen, they came out with a thing that said the number one way of catching criminals now is social media. People are telling on themselves, right? So you think you're the only ones looking at it, the police not looking at that, and these prosecutors not looking at these. Come on, man, you fooling yourself. You're fooling yourself. We got a new. Hey, Miss Angel, how you doing today? The new co-host with us today.
Hi everyone, I'm here.
Hey. You right on time. You right on time.
Can you guys hear me clearly? Because I'm doing this from my phone.
Yes.
Okay. You guys sound a little bit like staggered, but I can hear you. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Good.
All right. So here's the next question. Anybody had any questions on that or any comment on that, Anthony? Are we good on that?
I'm good on that one.
Okay. All right, so jump in there. Why is it important to focus on your customer? listen, sometimes when we can get so focused on bringing out different products that we forget to focus on our customer, right? We forget to see, the reason why we got into the business anyway, right? Because think about it. When you first come into a business, right, you may see, and you may be looking at it this way, right? And there's maybe 20 other ways that you can possibly make you some money. And what we tend to do is start focusing on everything else, trying to make a whole lot of products without staying focused on that one thing that got you going, to get some revenue off of that, and then maybe down the line invest in these other different things, right? So why is it important to focus on your customer, guys?
So I think this question really builds on the previous question or the previous response, that we are not in the product selling business. We're in the problem solving business. So if you find yourself in a position where you're not really getting the sales that you want, you probably lost sight of your customer and what your customer's needs are, because people will pay for you to solve a problem all day. If there's something that's a like, a desire, or a need for them, they will pay for you to solve that problem for them. And that goes for anything. When you really think about it, why do you buy a Snickers? It's not because you need a Snickers, but they say the delicious taste. It's quick, it's fast, it's there. So it's more of a time thing. People have different motivations. You have to speak to those motivations. If you want people to buy, you have to show them that you understand what their needs are and that you have the ability to solve those needs. That's how you scale your business. That's how you increase your sales. So what I work with my clients on is exactly that, because this happens more often than not, because people had a really good idea. They develop a business around that idea. Nowhere does that involve a customer. Nowhere is that focus on a customer. And for that reason, they end up trying different things, trying to figure out, well, maybe if I add this service, maybe if I, add this additional thing, and then they spread themselves thin. Now you're running all over the place. You're not making the money that you really wanted to make. Now, not only have you lost sight of what this was all for, but you don't even enjoy it anymore. So now you can't keep your business going because it's stressing you out, and you're not even making the financial returns that you were really looking for with your business. Now your door's closed. And my goal is to make sure that no one's business has to actually close their doors. The way to solve that problem is to go back to the drawing board. Let's put that customer first, and let's define who that person is. We're going to give this person a name. We're going to figure out exactly what their demographic information is, exactly what their demographic information is, but more importantly, what their psychographic information is. A lot of people do the demographic side, which is basically, their age, their ethnicity,
35 to 55.
Exactly.
Right?
And then they say, hey, I have a customer persona. Well, you have the beginnings of a customer persona, but there's a lot more that goes into that. Psychographic information tells you, so the demographic tells you the who, the psychographic information tells you what are their interests, what is their lifestyle like, what are their motivations, what are their problems. That's the stuff that really is the game changer for you. That's the stuff that you then begin to develop messages of that will make someone read and say, oh yeah, you talking to me? Yeah, I had that issue last week. Okay, yes, I do need your product. It's your responsibility to explain to everyone who goes to your profile, everyone who goes to your website, why they need to buy from you. And saying you're great ain't it. Saying you're great, saying your products are great, that is not going to do it. Everybody thinks that they're absolutely fabulous. We know that. But knowing that, if you want to be engaged, you have to be engaging. So the first way to show people that you care, that you actually have done a little bit of work, is to talk about who they are as an individual. Speak to that person. And I would say, like, if you have a bad day, I can feel empathy for it. But if I have a bad day, well, that could keep me up at night. Like that affects me. So you sitting up there talking about, well, I've had this story and this is my background and this is my past and this is why I created this product. Well, that sounds nice. And I may give you a clap. I may give you a like, but that don't mean I'm giving you my money. Like, why should I give you my money? Now, if you come to me and you tell me, hey, I work with a lot of people who So let's say, for example, Anthony, I work with a lot of people who start nonprofits and they feel so overwhelmed by the grant process. They started these nonprofits and they have no idea how they're going to fund this thing. And they've tried to do the paperwork and it's just too much. They want 20 plus pages and I could barely write 2. And I've dealt with a lot of people who are in that place. So I started this business to take away that stress. Well, that's very different than saying, well, I help people just do grant writing and that's it. Because in the earlier version, I'm speaking to a problem. I'm showing that I understand what the issues are and I'm giving you an option. You don't contact me just because I offer this service, because a lot of times people don't know that they need the service. Oh, well, I know how to read and I know how to write, so that means I can write grants. Well, it's a little bit more to that. So you have to
Oh, Lord.
It's a lot. So by elaborating that you understand what the issues are when you go through that process, this person who's never gone through the process will say, oh, you know what? I didn't even think about that. You right. If this is going to be 20 pages long,
I need to hire
really got that to do. Right. I wasn't even thinking. I didn't even know there were people who offer this service. So that's the reason why you have to keep your customer centered and that be the center of everything that you do, because if they won't listen to your message any other way. I don't know how. I mean, I feel like that's the most simplest way that I can put that. If you do not speak to their problems, they will not listen and they will not buy from you.
Excellent. Miss Angela, you have a comment on that?
Well, I think services are really the gold mine to anybody's business. If you don't have a way to treat a customer, you don't have a way to make that person feel like they're a part of your family, you won't have much business going on, because truth be told is what would they say after you leave that conversation? What will impact them? Oh my gosh, either their personality was like A1 and they felt like they knew you forever. And then they say, oh my gosh, their products are so good because not only did they try it, not only did, it's all about your personal touch and how it impacted you so that it can impact them. And by you focusing on them and, even with what you were saying, Ms. Lachey, having that personal conversation where you know their name, you know who they are before they get to that phone, you know who they are before you get that email, like you have a very, very hands-on approach to their retention, to their attention, to everything that has to do with them. That when that conversation comes on with a follow-up, you remember where you left off about a week ago or 2 months ago, or there's something that lets you know that there is a continuous approach to that relationship, so they don't feel like they're just a number. So being able to focus on them, being able to make them feel like they're a part of your family, that's not just a company one-time thing. It's not like, hey, I want your business today, goodbye, once I'm done, get your money, wrap up. I don't know. And I believe that the reason why people like Walmart, TJ Maxx, Sam's, Amazon, all of these people, they work on their customer service. They work on that. You might have a bad employee here and there, but they like the overall, friendly approach.
They build a community. They build a community around the brand, and people support the community. I love that you brought that up, Angel. Also, I love the name too. So I love that you brought that up, because it really is about that building a community. When people buy from Walmart, they're supporters of Walmart. People who support Target, they support Target. They're a part of that community. People who support Androids versus Apple phones and Apple phones versus Androids, they don't care what the specs say. They don't care what's going on. Why? Because they are a part of that community. So if a person is questioning, well, I'm just a small business, I don't really think I need to do all that. Well, at the end of the day, they're in business, period. It's not about small business. It's not about big business. You're in business. And if these individuals are investing millions of dollars into researching, into cultivating these communities, then you need to invest whatever you can into cultivating these communities as well. And it's not something that you necessarily have to put millions of dollars in, because that's a misconception that people have. You have to put in effort. Like she said, learn a person's name. If this person has bought from you 3 times and you don't have but 5 customers and you don't know their name, you done messed up. Because I mean, they are investing in you. The least you can do is invest that little bit of time to show them that you're in this with them. They are a part of your tribe. They are a part of your community. And that makes it a reason for a person to actually respond back to you. It's so funny. So I had a student that I was mentoring, and she was having major issues with getting responses. She was following up with the emails that her boss had sent out because he has a really big name. He's a really popular, really famous real estate mogul, and a lot of people know him, but you're brand new. You were coming from administration. You're kind of moving up into more sales. You don't have a sales background. So just sending an email saying I'm following up with his email, that's not really personal. So when I got her to kind of switch her mindset on that, you don't need to be a salesperson. Honestly, it's good that you're not, because you don't have a lot of major bad habits for me to have to break. You just need to be personable. How would you communicate if you were at a networking event and you had a person in front of you? How would you talk to that person? How would you speak on the phone to a friend? How would you send an email to a coworker? It wouldn't just be following up with what this other person has said. You would actually take the time, use the person's name. And I taught her to use a little bit about what you've learned from them from online. A quick Google search can tell you exactly something about the business, what their latest, something that they did in life. Mention that in your email, mention that in your text. She went from getting not a single response in 3 months of her being at it to her getting 7 responses to her emails and text messages within 1 week alone, and getting 4 appointments.
No,
It's not, just saying it. This stuff actually works. And again, it's not just for big businesses. It's something that there's no reason. I don't care if you ain't got but 50 cents in your name. You got less. That means you got less excuses than somebody with $1 million in their bank account. If you are a small business, this is not optional. This is mandatory. This is the lifeblood of your business.
Yeah. What's your thoughts, Anthony?
I think for me, a lot of my customers, they come from referrals. So, and I get a new customer, I treat them like family, because grant writing and doing the nonprofit stuff, it's like their own. It's part of them, because this is what they want to do in their life. And so we're working with them, making sure they fit friendly with you, make sure you're on top of what you need to be doing. Because if you're not focused on your customer, the customers are gonna give you bad reviews, or you ain't gonna get no more customers like that. So you got to focus on them, make sure that the customer is getting treated the right way. Make sure you focus on that on your customers.
Yeah. If you have been to a meetup or something like that, I mean, when I first got into this business, right, I go talk to about 10 different people and get about 10 different business cards or numbers, email addresses. And what I used to do, I'll send them all an email and just put them on with the BCCM or whatever the case is. And you can see that was sent out to a whole lot of people, right? Instead of sending that one email to that one particular person, try to personalize it. Right, and that means a lot right there. When somebody send me tied to something that I don't know, man, I'm not trying to read all that, But if you send that email and it's personalized to that one person, man, it was a pleasure talking to you, man. The things that you talked about that we had a conversation about was this, and this. I think I can learn from you, or you can whatever, and make it personal is really important.
Yes, true.
Right, and I love that you brought that part up, because a lot of people feel like it's too overwhelming and it's too time consuming. That's the reason why they just copy and paste and send that message to everyone. But here's why I stress the importance of systems, of small business owners, medium business owners, large business owners already have it, but having systems, because you can send that same message on a mass scale and make it look personal. You just have to know what tools to use for that. Exactly.
Yep.
But there's no, you don't have to necessarily, okay, well, I can only send 5 emails in an hour, so that's just all I'm going to send. No, leverage your time, work smarter, not harder. Not having time is not an excuse to not do it. It's not an excuse to just reach out to one person. Well, at least I did something. Well, if you're going to be looking at about a 20% closing ratio, 20% of one is 0. 20% of 2 is also 0. So if you're not putting in the work and doing the numbers in order for you to close sales, you're not going to close sales. So I love that you brought that up, because it really is important.
Yeah, if you're not focusing on your customer, you tripping, man. I don't know what else to tell you, right? You're not really in business. You in business to show, or just to say I'm in business. You're not in business to make no money, right? It's very important, guys. All right, here's another one. All right, hold on 1 second.
Hey, Sheila.
What's up, Miss Sheila? How you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
All right.
Doing pretty good.
All right. Here's the next one here.
Can we let the 2 that just came in, can we let them do their introductions? Because I'm also very interested in what Miss Angel does.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I appreciate that. Miss Angel, I know she's driving. Can you hear us, Miss Angel?
Yes, I can hear you guys.
Can you tell us what's your name, where you're logging in from, and what do you... Go ahead, it's okay. And what do you do?
I help out with anything business consultancy. If people want to start their business, they're looking to do e-commerce thing, get into cryptocurrency. Right now I'm doing a lot of redeveloping and kind of just doing a different, redeveloping my business. Because I went from doing real estate and helping people in real estate, and now I want to do more so multifamily. So it's a lot of revamping of my business and my business strategies. But for the most part, if people are needing help in starting their new e-commerce store, or they're looking for ways to get into cryptocurrency and learning more about how is it that they can scale their businesses, I'm here for them to help them, whatever they can help with.
Excellent. Welcome. Miss Sheila Little, what's going on with you?
Nothing, just chilling.
She look at us so cool today.
Yeah.
All right. Tell us who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it, and where you're doing it at.
Well, I am a clinical
how long you've been doing
it, though. Yeah, I've been doing it for 20 years, but I'm a clinical social worker and a synergy coach, and I consider myself a friend and expert leader in the field of changing lives. And I just help people stop doing the things that is preventing them from getting the life they desire and deserve. And I do that through a framework that's trademarked and true. And I walk them through a process.
So we got another guest star. Giovanni is trying to peek in on the call.
Can you guys hear that feedback?
Yes.
Everybody mute for a second. Okay, that's you. Let me see here. That's you, Anthony. It's got a lot of feedback on your side, brother.
I was watching your video on Facebook. I'm trying to share it.
Oh, okay. I appreciate it, though. I appreciate it, bro. All right. So let's jump right into this thing. So we talked about the customers and stuff like that. Important to focus on the customers. All right. So here's another one here. So why is it beneficial to start small when it comes to business? Why is that beneficial? I know we talked about grants and stuff like that a little earlier, right? Getting maybe a pile of money, throw at a business and see what happens, right? But in this situation, is it cool to start big or start small, or why is it beneficial to start small?
I think I would not say necessarily start small, but I would say focus on one thing. Focus on first things first, do that successfully, then start adding on additional services, additional offers, bringing in partners and all of that. When you're new and you're just starting out, you have to kind of get your footing. You have to learn what works and what doesn't work. And you need to give yourself that grace and that time to be able to do that. Don't overwhelm yourself by multiplying the efforts that you're going to need in order to do all of these different things. Just because you have a talent in it or a gift in it or a passion in it, it's not that you don't need to do it, it's that you don't need to do it right now. So set yourself a plan, a game plan for what you're going to do. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I hear some noise, huh?
Okay. I thought it was just me.
Okay.
That may be my dog hitting the blinds, y'all.
Okay.
Okay.
But set yourself a timeline for 10 years, for 5 years, and put those things within that timeline. Because again, it's not that you have to necessarily be small and stay small. It's just that you have to develop a proof of concept, become successful, and then expand and replicate that success.
Absolutely. What do you think, Miss Angel?
I believe that wholeheartedly when it comes to starting out business, unless you already, you already had a following, or you had, a certain community or tribe that was already a part of your business startup, then that's different. But when it comes to starting from scratch and getting everything up off the ground, trying different methods to work for your business, I think you need to start small to see how that strategy works, and then from there on you scale it up.
Oh, no. What about you, Miss Sheila?
Yeah, I would agree. I think that, from a emotional and just overwhelmed, I think that when you try to do too much, you never finish anything, which can play into already limiting beliefs. So you definitely want to try to do as small as possible and be efficient so you can start to create the momentum, in one area. And when we tend to get small wins, then that creates the confidence, creates the, that type of that momentum that we need, like I said, to really then take it and add on more and do more things. And, we want to do 25 things and not complete, one thing. And that just can lend to that self-defeating thought, like, man, I never get nothing done, or the overwhelm that we feel like, oh, I need to do so much, that entrepreneurs face. And then that creates a big, huge dis-ease for a lot of entrepreneurs, because it's so much that you have to take on. When I think when you start small, it could be a lot more rewarding, which can give you the emotional fortitude to truly, get you started.
Absolutely. What you think about it, Mr. Anthony? Think he's...
You can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. My earphones was about to go out. The benefit of starting small is, like, if you go start big at first, you're gonna be overwhelmed, especially if you're one person shop. Most people are. They start like one person in their business at first. If you go large, start gonna go big at first, you're gonna be overwhelmed, be too much, you're gonna get stressed out. Then your business is gonna fail. So by starting small and growing that way, it gives you time to hire employees, get your funds in order, get your protocols over, so you know what to do when a frustrated customer, or what customer you take on, how much you take on all at one time.
And that can be very difficult for a person like myself, right? I am a shoot and aim type of person. I'm jumping out of the plane. I'm building the parachute as I'm going down, right? That's how my mindset is, right? I don't like to wait to do anything. But I remember years ago when I was reading this book, Dave Ramsey book. He's a snowball, right? And that's basically what he was talking about doing, right? He said, when you try to clear off your debt, you get the smallest to largest, right? You knock out the smallest debt, you go to the next debt. You knock out that next smallest debt, go to the next one. And then all of a sudden, all that money that you was paying on the first debt now is snowballing to the bigger debt, right? And that's how you work yourself all the way through and become debt free. I think that's the same way in business, right? You start small. So if you want to, let's say, this is something that's not even in business, but let's take a record company, right? Records and tape stores. We did this back in the day. You start with a couple tapes, sell a few tapes. and let that grow into, get you some albums or whatever the case is, get you some records, whatever you're gonna do. But then get to that next level to where you have to buy in bulk, right? I think that's the best way to do it, and you save yourself, man, for crashing and burning. There's no worse feeling, man, to invest your time into something and it crash and burn, and then now you're in debt because of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Well, you can took your time and methodically chipped away at it, and then get to that point where you're trying to go. That's
I remember this. I had this mentor maybe like 4 years ago, because I was the jump off the parachute person too, and he said that we overestimate what we can do in 1 year, and we underestimate what we can achieve in 3 years. And I just was like, and I think that we just have this, I want it now, like I need to do this now, because a lot of us probably have waited so long, or, we have this fear of or this need, like we got to catch up, or, it's this emotion, like if I don't do it, these really rational lies that we tell ourselves that really make us feel like I need to get this done, and I need to get all of this done. And I always tell people, I turn my whiffs into links, right? Like I took all of these 10 things and I like made them a straight line, and I just kind of knocked them off like one by one. And it has made my life so much easier, right? Because I'm not trying to do 10, 15 things at one time. It's like, it's like I'm just focused on one. I mean, I'm working on houses and, reconstruction, and then seeing clients, and then raising kids. And then it's like, Sheila, this is why you're stressed, right? And like I said, but it was that need to, I'm 35, or, I'm about to turn 30, or just the age story comes in, or the financial story comes in. And we just have to be mindful of those narratives that we're telling ourselves, because if you put one foot in front of the other, you will get there, and so we just have to kind of slow down and bite the elephant one bite at a time, because you're going to choke yourself if you don't, and just shifting the mindset just to say, let me just do this one bite at a time, one product at a time. And that shift by itself is like a lot to take in.
I agree.
It's just like but the belief that will get me there, I think, is what a person has to come to accept. Like, you don't have to do all 15 things. You will accomplish all 15 things, I guarantee, if you prioritize them. But you're not going to accomplish any of the 15 things if you're trying to do all 15 things right now, And if you do, you're not going to be able to experience them in their fullness, because you're going to be so stressed out, or you're going to be in the hospital bed, or you're going to have an IV hooked up to your arm, or you've been fainted somewhere, so you're not going to be able to enjoy it. And a lot of business that start off big, that scale really fast, when you talk to those CEOs, they'll tell you how stressful, that was, or, how they had to take these breaks, or, you know what I mean? Because they jumped in too fast, So if you're starting out, just like one thing at a time, And again, that's not taught to a lot of people, but it's a mindset shift.
There's no worse mindset. I guess half worked through ideas in your brain, right? So even if you got 1,000 of them going on, where you just started this and you put it to the side, you started this, put it to the side, and even if you go on vacation, you're gonna be thinking about that. Your mind ain't clear. You got too much going on. But you put it to the side, work yourself. Okay, this is what I'm gonna focus on right now. Get this done, right? And then go to the next thing, man. I'm telling you, to make your life 100% clear. That's what happened to me.
And then get your accountability partner. Get your accountability partner. Lachey know, I'll be like, okay, Lachey, because this is my accountability partner. I'll be like, okay, Lachey, I may try to change this. If I do, bring me back and say, okay, we're going to pin that for another time. And what we're going to do is we're going to finish this thing, because I'm the parachute. I'm like, I want to shoot. I'm like, I guess got this idea. And so, and here's the thing. Entrepreneurs were born like that. And that's what's the importance of a team, and getting you a coach and getting you somebody to hold you accountable to help you see a thing through, right? Because, you know, everybody on this panel are thinkers. We're creators, right? We want to create things. And sometimes our job is to create it and pass it on, right? Or create it and then have somebody hold us accountable to seeing that whole vision through, or ask the right questions and say, well, did you think about this? Or did you think about that? You know what I mean? To say if that's a good idea or not. But, you know, see it through, that whole one thing, or start small. Yeah.
Right. And looking at the comments and going off of what you guys said, I think that there's a practical side of it as well. And that's where the issue comes into play. As entrepreneurs, you have big ideas and you have a lot of them, but entrepreneurs rarely take a step back and think logistically, okay, what are the actions that I actually have to invest into this thing to make it successful? So if it takes 10 things to do this real estate business, and it takes 10 things for you to start this clothing line, and it takes 10 things for you to get into coaching, well, you don't have 3 things that you have to do. You've got 30. So the practicality of that, when you talk about the financial side of it, well, again, you don't have to hire this one employee. You have to keep paying for this one employee. So it's not, do you have this week's pay? It's, do you have pay to keep this going, to keep that consistency? Okay, you may be doing really good for contract work this month while you have a job, but if you switch it up, are you really able to be consistent and actually think about those practical steps and come up with a game plan? As Sheila said, it's not that you can't do it. And again, that's one thing she talks about a lot, is stories. A lot of times we have that fear, that voice in the back of our head, so we just jump for it because we tell ourselves, well, I'm unsuccessful. You know what? I'm not going to listen ahead. I'm just going to jump out there and do it. Well, that's going from one end of the extreme to the other. There's a comfortable in between where you're able to act on your goals, your ideas and your passions, but where you're doing it in a logical way. You're thinking about
way.
Exactly. And that's the reason why, you know, dividing your forces, your finances, pretty much anything that you want to do, as Sheila said, it's going to take more time, energy, effort, money into it than what you really think. Do you really want to divide it in half? That's what happens when you try to do 2 products. Do you really want to put it into quarters? That's what happens if you try to do 4 products. So I think just focusing on that one thing, but not just that one thing. Practically, what are the steps that I need to take in order to make that happen? You'll find in the long run, as Sheila said, that you accomplish a lot more when you look big picture at the last 3 or 5 years of your life.
You know, I've heard that term, a jack of all trades to a master of none, like all my life, right? So I thought I was kind of like that, man. By the end of November, I think all that stuff is kind of rushed at me, and it shut me down.
I was going to say, Jay, you got a story to tell about this?
I have a lot going on. I tell you what, I over the last couple of months, when I didn't really do a lot of work, I just kind of did a lot of, I guess you could say, systematizing stuff, right? Putting things where they need to be and everything. But I still have, even in that time, I still had to maintain the people that work for me. You know, even though I wasn't bringing any money in or whatever the case is. But it really served me well to do that. So now we're doing this every other week now, instead of every week and doing another podcast every week. So I had to kind of break it down. So now I'm actually I can focus on y'all right now. That's what's crazy. So that's what doing 25% of it or 10% of this and 10% of that or whatever the case is, it'll bog you down to the point you can't even think no more. You just want to throw your hands up and walk away. Or it shuts you down. You know what I'm saying? Mentally, maybe even physically. So don't do that, man. Focus on what you need to focus on. Get to the next thing you want. So, yeah, and it's important too, man. When the people that you bring on, you decide to do something, you decide to hire somebody, you gotta understand, man, this money is their livelihood. Right? If you only thinking about can you pay them the next 2 weeks and not thinking can you pay them the next 6 months or whatever the case is, you shouldn't be bringing these people on. Putting them in a bad situation. You know? And that's what happened a lot of times, man. You get hired on one company, 30 days later, let you go. They didn't really budget for that. or whatever the case is. Especially a person that's what they call it, a 1099 person or a contract person or whatever the case is. That's kind of what happens a lot of the time. So just take that into consideration, man. And I'm happy to say that everybody stayed employed for me, so it worked out. And so all right. Any comments left? And I'm back at it too. I'm back at it, but just a little different now. A little different now. So all right, let's jump into this thing here, man. I think this is a good one here. Why is it important to strengthen your weaknesses in business? Why is that important to do that? We all got weaknesses now. We all got weaknesses. Why is it important to strengthen them? Anthony, I'm gonna give to Anthony first. Let's see what you think about it. What you think about it?
Because your weakness is your weakest point in your business. So when you have your weakness in your business, you need to straighten that out because you're already good in everything else. But if your weakness is your weakest part, that's when you're gonna struggle. You're gonna struggle the most. With your weakness, you're gonna struggle the most. So you need to improve.
Okay, man. I'm sorry, man. I hit the mute button by mistake, man. Did you finish? I'm sorry.
Well, I'm saying you need to straighten your weakness because that's gonna be your weakest point in your business.
Yeah. What about okay? What about you personally? Each one of us personally, right? We all have individual weaknesses, right? Maybe it's speaking in front of people. Maybe it's whatever it is, right? Why is it important for us to strengthen that part, that weakness, so we don't get personal with it, right?
So I can add to that one, or I guess I can add my input to that question. So to me, the reason why you should strengthen your weakness is because weakness is nothing but opportunity. If something is your weakness, let's say if it is public speaking, so there couldn't be business that you can get from doing this speaking engagement. That's actual business. If what you need is more business, but you're not receiving that business because that's a fear of you. But you can outsource that. You can hire someone else, bring someone on your team specifically because they have that skill, they have that talent. Now you have new business. Now you do have the money to be able to add to your team to be sustainable. So acknowledging your weaknesses is not a weakness in itself. And I think a lot of times that's how people think. They think, well, if I focus on my weaknesses, then that means I'm admitting that I'm a weak person. And that's not really the case at all. That's actually being a very strong person who is focused and dedicated on being successful, on truly reaching your goals. We all have weaknesses. We all are not going to be perfect at every single thing. Even if in your head you think that you are amazing at this thing, and this is the really interesting thing that I've seen with clients, it could be something that you're so interested in, you're really good at it, but you spend entirely too much time on it. And for that reason, it's taken away your attention for something else. And if you were to acknowledge that, hey, I love this thing, I'm great at it, but maybe this isn't the best use of my time because I could be doing more high income earning activities, that would allow you to grow, that would allow you to scale. So I think when we're talking about having successful businesses, when we're talking about creating longevity and creating consistency, acknowledging your weaknesses is a part of that process because it allows you to see what areas do you need to strengthen. I like the analogy of a house. When it comes to a house, you've got a foundation. The foundation is very vital. That's what holds up everything else. So if you have this foundation and you put a brand new roof on, meaning you went and you took this design class, but foundationally, you're not really good at paperwork, right? That's your foundation. If you don't fix that foundation, that whole house will come down, including your new roof. So when you don't fix these issues in very vital areas, it will affect other areas. All of your entire business, everything works together. Your communication, your being able to follow through on the things that you say, your relationships, your persona, your brand, all of these things work together. And if you see that, oh, well, branding, that's not really my strong point and I'm struggling here, reach out to someone. Like Anthony does nonprofits. If you see that nonprofits, I have a really good idea and I'm great with meeting with people, but paperwork is not really my thing. Well, you need to outsource that to someone because it's not an excuse for you to not have it. It's just something that you yourself shouldn't be doing. Same thing with Sheila. If you're a person who tends to have a lot of chaotic relationships in your life, and you really don't understand why that tends to happen, why you tend to fall out with your business partners, why your customers aren't really coming back to you. If you're dealing with all of these emotional things that you really have never dealt with before, well, if you've been trying to deal with this for the past 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and you haven't seen good results, it's time to outsource that. It's time to bring in outside expertise to figure out what's really going on and how you can best fix these issues.
No. All right.
She meant hire Sheila. She meant hire Sheila. Thank you.
You got a comment on that, Sheila?
Yeah. I agree 100% that one, as a small business, we just have to know that your business is a direct reflection of you, and a part of that limitation that you may have is going to reflect in your business. So if we don't know our limitations, right, then it's going to spill over in your business. And one of our limitations, just as human beings, is that we don't like to ask for help, right? We feel like I'm going to get there, or I'm going to do it, or I'll fix it when I can. But when you go to serve a population of individuals, it ain't that, right? That you can't wait like you would wait for yourself to fix or go on a diet or start working out or whatever. When you have made a commitment to say, I'm going to serve a population, you just can't wait to fix that, So like Lachey said, you have to be willing to get help, and work on that. And I think somebody said master that, and you probably only can go so far with it. So you would have to bring someone in to, assist you in that particular area, whatever that is. Now, if it's a weakness that don't have nothing to do with, counter to that, if it's a weakness that don't have nothing to do with your business or nothing to do with progressing you in life, I won't focus on it. But if your limitation is directly impacting your business, because a lot of times we can get distracted in working on limitations that have nothing to do with us, or it's not going to strengthen any area of our business, so if it's a limitation that's not going to directly impact your client or your customer or your life, it's just the limitation, and we all have them, but you definitely want to identify where you're at. Take a personality assessment. I talked about this last season. I did a DISC assessment through ET, and I found that I was like a pilot, and a pilot, because you could be a pilot. What's the people who come in and do pass out the food and stuff, flight attendant, the grounds crew, and then the air traffic control people. And I definitely wasn't air traffic control, and I definitely wasn't the grounds crew, right? So these are important people in the background that's making things happen, right? I could take care of you, talk to you good, and I can get you where you need to go. But once you came in, my weakness was that in my personal life and, in my business. So I had to start to get a coach to develop how do I extend myself, right, over for the longevity, of in my relationship. So yeah, you got to make sure that you're addressing all 4 areas, right, of that DISC in your business. And you may not be able to do it, but you definitely got to make sure it's being done.
Okay, I want to make this last point. I promise I'm done with it. So Sheila made a really good point about her getting a coach. And that's something, honestly, I think that is so incredibly underrated, because a lot of times we don't know the questions to ask. A lot of times we don't think we have a problem, or we don't think we have a weakness in this area. So I would say, rather than not even necessarily just focusing on the weakness part, if there's an area that you want to improve, like if you want to improve your business, get a business coach. And I promise you, they will show you some areas that you actually really do need to improve in. They're going to bring up some things that you didn't even think about. If you are having a lot of just turmoil in your life as a whole, there are coaches like Sheila, who is a synergy coach, who will bring up some things, because I work with her on the business side, and she has brought up some things in my personal life that I wasn't even planning on talking about that. I didn't even know that was something to be addressed, but
And
that's something that
I listen to a business podcast too, and she
right,
stuff out.
right. And you're like, maybe
do a thing.
Okay, well, that is something that I need to actually. So,
how you all in your feelings, boy. I tell you,
right. Feelings you didn't even know you had.
Exactly.
So I will say that, because I know there's some people, because I know if I hadn't done the work that I've done over the last couple of years, I wouldn't be as aware of my weaknesses as I am right now. Now I can kind of catch my stuff. Sheila got me using that word stories. Is this real, or is this a story that I'm telling myself that I'm creating all these internal emotions that have nothing to do with nothing? That's not something I was aware of prior to. I'm aware of it now. So how can you fix what you don't know? So I think actually seeking a coach in any topic, if you want to do a nonprofit, seek someone who does nonprofits, because they're going to bring up things that you never thought about. Jay does real estate. If you have real estate questions, work with a real estate professional, because there are things that these professionals have learned in their career that you've never even thought of. So how can you prepare yourself?
And if you're doing business development, get with Lachey.
Well,
I'm only doing commercial now. So. but listen, before you get these guys to answer that question, that was actually my next question too. Should you get a business coach? So y'all knocked that out of the park.
Yep.
So Miss Angel, you have any comment for that one?
Well, yes, because I believe if you don't strengthen those things that are weak in you for business, that means you have a lot of customers that are not getting dealt with. You're missing money because you don't have the things that you need. So the things that are weak about your business, you have to kind of like if you had an open wound, if you don't take care of that wound, you'll never get healthy. You might lose a whole leg because you done sat here and let that whole wound, got all nasty. So yeah, it's the same thing with business. If you have a weakness, you have to put a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of marketing, a lot of coaching, a lot of whatever it needs so that it can get strengthened and it can get the actual components so it can operate accordingly. I don't believe in business you should have any weak point if you're able to make the investment to make that strong. Business is not like an actual body. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to, wherever there is, a certain type of loophole or void that needs to be filled, you have to fill something there. You have to fill a position. You have to fill either, get yourself a budget for that particular area of your business that's weakened, so you can get it back up and running and you could see the profit. Because the minute you strengthen that area, you're definitely going to see an increase in finances.
Right. And I like to say that having a business coach, honestly, having a business coach, it's almost like a cheat code. It really is. I'm not saying it just because I'm in the industry. I am a business coach that also has a business coach. And the growth that I have seen in my business from having someone keep me accountable, give me ideas that maybe I didn't have, help me out with creating my own systems, because it's been done before, but not by me. So having a system and having someone to help me with that process, it's a game changer, honestly. And again, not just as a business coach, but as a business owner that also has a business coach. The growth that I've seen since the time that I got my business coach, honestly, 10x from what I was doing before. Because before I was trial and error. Oh, that didn't work. Try something else. Oh, that didn't work. Try something else. The time, the energy, the frustration that I invested into that. Then from me being able to talk to someone who has the experience, ask them that question. Hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. What do you think about that? And then your business coach is able to say, oh, well, have you thought about these things that can happen? Okay. Or maybe, hey, you've got these 3 ideas. This is the idea that I think is most viable. This is the idea that I think that you should research, more and take action on. And the time that saves, it's unbelievable. And that has helped me to increase my overall income. Because at the end of the day, the reason why people don't invest in things like a business coach, people always say, well, I'll get a business coach when I get some money. When I make X amount of dollars, that's when I will actually invest into that. But realistically, you're never going to see that number unless you get help. I'm just going to be completely honest. Whatever that number is for you, it's going to be very difficult for you to achieve that if you don't, like Sheila said early, having someone keeping you accountable. That alone, which is a thing. There are people who you can have as your accountability partner. And that's essentially one of the things that a coach does. They help to keep you accountable. If you were supposed to have completed this document or completed this form or added this to your website by Friday, I guarantee you are much more likely to get that done by Friday, knowing that you're going to have someone check, seeing where you're at with that. When it's just you, well, how you going to have a conversation with you? And hold you accountable.
And I will push to say a life coach too, not because I am a synergy coach, but just because when you're starting a business, there's so much emotional management that's happening when you're making decisions and when you're holding yourself accountable and you're in new territory. So when your life is changing, right? Sometimes you don't know how to manage the emotions that come. And we have something called fight, or freeze, right? It is a primary thing that happens in the mind. It's just what the mind was created to do. It's going to either fight the situation, it's going to flight, which means I'm going to get up out of here, right? Or I'm going to freeze. I'm going to just stand and watch and just not do anything. This is a survival mechanism. And a lot of us are trying to move out of survival to success, which is why we're, building businesses and talking about legacy and, talking about generational wealth, because we're tired of surviving. But that is a mindset shift. That is an emotional shift. That is you actually stop doing some things, right? Learning how to stop some old behaviors and learning some new ways of being, right? In that same process. So, along with a business coach that's working on the business, there is some management of your life and relationships. And, that also could be having to shift some conversations that have to be going on. A lot of businesses ain't happening, not because you don't want to do it, but because of how you think and somebody else may feel about you starting this business or the time that's happening. So, these are the type of structures that we need to invest in. And remember, at the rate you invest in you, in your business, is the rate that your business is going to grow. And a part of you investing in you is investing in your business. And I sometimes I'm in awe at how many of us start businesses, but not willing to pay a dime to get a coach or to elevate our understanding of our product, or just want to pay pennies on a dime for pennies on our dime, but expecting other people to come in and invest in us. It's but like, where they do that at?
Though, but they won't invest in their actual growth. I think that's so interesting.
Yeah. And not even like in a judgment what they do that at, but for real, what they do that at. Like, this is the greatest return that you're going to get on your investment. Investing in you and how you think. Why? Because that will never get stolen. Your business gets shut down, right. But what you're going to learn in the process, that product may not go the way you learn, but when you learn a process, that's transferable knowledge. You could take that now and tuck that under another product and another product and another product. How you learn how to manage your emotions, you could take that from one relationship to another relationship to another relationship. So this never can be lost or stolen. It can only be transferred like energy.
Man, a lot of great gems there, man. Some of the most successful CEOs that I know, they all have coaches. They all have them.
Very few of them don't. That's actually what's interesting that people don't say. They talk about, oh, just a couple. I know some that realistically, the top income earners have a mentor. They may not call it a quote unquote coach, but they have a mentor. There are very few people who. So if all the top income earners have it, maybe there's a commonality there. I'm just saying, if this is what all
investing in hundreds of $1,000 mastermind groups that they go to like every 6 months, where they are in masterminding with other thinkers, and they're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to go collaborate with other thinkers. You know what I mean?
Right. And I will say this, because this is not just getting on the people like, oh, I haven't invested in the coach. This is not just, I had to make that mindset shift because I was of the mindset. I know everything and then some when it comes to business, but I didn't want to keep having that emotional stress dealing with my business. Like, it's like, okay, well, it's got to be a simpler way. And the time that I invested, like, it's just got to be a simpler way. I had to make the mind shift of, I've got to do it myself. I've got to figure it out. You know enough. You can just do this yourself. And I had to look again, come to the realization, if the most successful people are doing this thing, if they are investing into actual coaches, I can't just learn about programs and let that be the only education that I'm doing. I need to invest into a mentor who is going to help me with this. And conversely, as Sheila was saying, investing into someone on the emotional side, I never thought about that. But what I've learned is when it comes to emotions, it's almost like a bowl, right? You got a bowl. The bowl can only hold but so much. That's with your emotions. So a lot of times you may very well have that bowl filled with these outside emotions. So when it comes to your business, you are very short-tempered. You are very stressed out. You are very overwhelmed, but it's because you got this other emotional stuff going on. When you remove that emotional stuff, well, now you do have more time for your business. Now you are willing to stay that extra hour. Now you do have the emotional capacity to go out to this networking event or attend this podcast in order for you to be able to help your business be successful, because that stuff
vice versa. Or now you're not filling your bowl with your business. Now you got time to spend with your wife or your mate, or you got time now to spend with your kids, because you're not overfilling your cup with your business. And now you're not coming home to a wife or a mate, or, you got time for personal relationships. Because sometimes as entrepreneurs, like, beat it in, but you can't sacrifice your personal life, right? Because you're filling your business up, because you don't know how to, now you just shutting everybody off, because that's not healthy either.
But that's why I got this term.
Kind of went down the lane.
No, it's all good. But that's why I got this term. We had this term called work hard and play hard, right? Play harder, right? So when you have that person that can kind of help you work through a lot of things that you're dealing with, you're truly able to play hard. Right? Instead of playing a little bit, man, I'm worried about this business, I'm doing this or whatever, and you really can't focus. So you've seen the people who are on vacation, quote unquote, but they working. No, man, you're on vacation, you need to be, be on vacation. Right? So it's very important to do that.
And give yourself permission to do that.
Yeah.
It's doable, right? And we have just grown up in a culture, Jay. Where it's like, 16, you got to work 16, 18 hours, grind time. And, I did hear this guy say, when you're in balance, you're out of focus, right? I truly believe that. When you're like half balanced, you're out of focus, right? Because it's only so much balance you can get. So there is time where you do have to head down. I got to get this work done, cut my phone off, no social media, because it's things I need to get done. And then there's times where I got to have balance, and I got to step out of this and make sure I'm spending time with the kids and, doing that, and so you see the balance over life. But if you don't give yourself permission to get into focus and get balance, and when does that happen? And then allow the feeling to come up of whatever, the guilt, like, oh, I'm gonna miss some phone calls, and know how to release that and stay in balance and not be chased back into focus when you're in balance, right? Because that's a learned behavior, especially when we have been trained, get on the grind. You got to grind. You got to get it, not realizing, but you're doing some damage to your body if you don't come out of focus and find balance for some time. You know what I mean?
I like that you say when you're out of balance, you're out of focus, right?
When you're in focus, you're out of balance. Yeah.
When you're in focus, you're out of balance.
Myron Goldman said that when you're in focus, you're out of balance. And when you're in balance, you're out of focus, right? So, his thing was that you can't have both. So you can't be like all focused and then feel like you're in balance. And so sometimes we have this guilt around, grinding. Yeah, there is a time and a season for grinding. You know what I mean? But there is also a time where you got to find balance, where you have to come out of focus, right? It's blurry over there. I don't really know what's going on in the business because I'm focusing on my health and finding balance with my family and, reconnecting with friends and loved ones and things like that. So my business is kind of out of focus at that time. You know what I mean? Now, when I'm in focus in my business, I may not have balance in my family or you know what I mean? So that may be something that, I may be, not sleeping as much as I should or whatever, because I got some deadlines that I got to meet. But how do we do that in a functional way where, I don't have,
you're not getting burned out.
Burned out.
Right.
But again, it's a culture that's perpetuating that's saying that that's how you got to live and that's how you got to get it. And it's so many of us getting it and living it like that, but still broke. So that can't be the way.
They got that saying that, we sleep when we die. When we dead, we'll sleep, and all that nonsense. Man, you'll get you some sleep when you really be dead, right? So here's, I need the dictionary skills that you have. Miss Sheila, you got it? So what is the difference between the board of advisors and the board of directors? What? Direction? Did I spell it right? I can't see it here.
Difference.
Directors. What's the difference, guys?
Well, so I'm big enough to say I don't know. So I'm going to let Sheila Google this one.
That's a dictionary right there.
So I can share a little bit, of what.
Okay, go ahead.
Board of advisors is basically maybe a compound of maybe 2-3 people that you have there that you get maybe strategies for budget. What is it that you need advice in growing the business, where you want to see it 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Then your board of directors is actually an appointed amount of people that are part of your partnership, that's a part of your, legalized part of your business setup. And they're actually a part of your state regulated paperwork, legalized papers. So play different roles, but they're still important, a board of directors can actually come together and maybe,
CEO out of there. You get the CEO out of there. It's true. Hostile takeover.
What came up in my spirit, that show with Brad Pitt. Remember, he came back. He was like came back. He was a ghost. He got killed and he came back as a ghost. Mm-hmm. And he was the advisor to the man who was finna die, and he started dating the man's daughter as a. Do y'all remember that movie?
Oh wow, I haven't seen that one. It sounds interesting.
I can't think. Anyway, so the man was like the CEO of a company, and he had a board of directors, right? And then he brought back Brad Pitt in, and Brad Pitt was like he was a ghost, but he was coming as like a ghost to basically take the man's life, but he brought him in as his advisor. So he was a direct advisor to the CEO. So the board of directors was like, well, who is he? And he was like, well, this is my advisor. He's advising me on decisions and things that I should be doing. He wasn't a part of the directors, right? The people who were hired in. And so the directors had a meeting, right? Because they were intimidated because they felt like this advisor was advising the CEO wrong or whatever. And so one of the board members wanted to fire the CEO of the company because he didn't trust the advisor. It's like, who is this young boy coming to tell us what to do? So you're exactly right, Angel. The advisor would be advising like the CEO on financials, or, just that personal advisor, a couple of people, finances and things like that, where the board has the power and authority to hire or fire,
make the decisions,
to make the decisions for the CEO.
So those big companies, right? They have a board of directors, right? They help them run that company. Like you said, if you're the CEO, they can get you out of this. I think it's called a hostile takeover. But majority, I would go so far as to say all people who are in business, right, who are doing some great things in business, they should have a board of advisors. Whether you meet once a month, maybe an hour or two, or whatever the case is, or maybe once a week, or whatever the case is, right? And just to basically, to have like accountability partners, right? You need that. If you let's say if you're in real estate and you and somebody else, I'm in the real estate with you, right? You doing some things, I'm doing some stuff over here. There's somebody, hey man, can I get on the call with you real quick, man? To kind of chop it up about this particular topic. And then you tell me, look, I'm gonna read this book, I'm gonna do this, and this, and then next week we get back on the call. And I ask you, hey, did you do that? All right? And you tell me no, I'm like, man, you tripping. You need to get on it immediately, man. What you got going on in your next couple of days? We need to block that out to get on this, because this is important. This is gonna get your business to that next level. You need a person like that in business, man, to be able to help you. So an advisor definitely is key. It's key.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The name of the movie was Meet Joe Black, one of my favorites.
Meet Joe Black.
Yeah. Good movie.
That's funny. That's the first time everybody started taking notes. Like, we got.
That's not a good movie, though.
As soon as she said it, everybody was like, "What?"
So,
yeah.
So me, I out, honey, because we're gonna go watch that movie again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a good movie.
So this is important, man. Get your board of advisors, man. Get your group of your guys together if you guys are in business doing the same thing or whatever. Just to have somebody to hold you accountable. It's important to do that. Somebody to tell you when it's time for you to take you a long weekend, right? You need somebody to tell you that too, man. Look, you've been working too hard. You need to take a couple of days off. You need to come back and regroup. So you definitely need that. All right. Any questions out of that? All right. What's this one here? All right, let's go with this one. What is more important in business, to have passion or experience in business? What's more important?
I would say you need a reasonable combination of both. Because if you don't like what you do, you're not going to stick with it. And if you have no experience in what you're doing and you don't make that effort to learn whatever it is you need to know that you don't know, you're not going to be successful at it. I don't think you can successfully have one and not the other.
We got to pick one.
But I'm going to say passion. I'm going to say passion.
No, I agree with you, though. I definitely agree with you saying, though. I agree. Go ahead.
I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm saying experience.
Okay.
And here's why. Because I had wrote this book, When Your Dream Break You Down, Your Passion Will Stand You Up, because your passion is your why. Your passion will lead you to get the experience that you need, right? Like if I really want to do this thing, I'm going to go get the experience. I'm going to go hire the coach. I'm going to go volunteer. I'm going to run some free coaching sessions, right? I'm going to go get the experience. I may go volunteer, on the side, like have a job over here, but I may do free content if I want to get the experience because I'm passionate about, creating content or whatever. But if I got the experience, but I ain't really passionate about it, it's like, I want to do it, but, when we see a lot of people who are very experienced in things, but they don't have a desire. They don't have like the passion. And to me, passion is the opposite side of anger. It's like, I hate that. Like I hate, So for me, aesthetics. I'm not a content creator, but I am definitely an aesthetics girl, right? I'm passionate about it. Like I like my deliverables to look a certain way. Like I love that, the way my office looks or whatever. I'm passionate about that because I get so irritated when people just throw things together and like expect you to just accept that. Like, did you even read this over? Did you even care about what I was going to think? Right. So to me, passion is on the other side of anger. You know, it's that thing that just irritates you so much. If people always say, like, what you passionate about? Well, what get on your nerves so bad you absolutely hate it? On the other side of that is where your passion lies, you know? And if you really want to find your passion, the thing you just, it just gets under your skin, you know, that's where your passion is, right? And if you can find a way to channel that and, you know, get some experience under that, oh, you a beast in the game, because you have a why now. And your why is because I just absolutely dislike this. It just irks me. For me, becoming a synergy coach, people say, why did you step away from therapy? I absolutely dislike talking about the past and not giving a person the way that they can build their future life that they deserve. I absolutely hated seeing people being stuck under a diagnosis and feeling like, because this happened to me, my life could never change. Use a lie. You know, that is not true, right? So that is my passion. And it was like, but as a therapist, like, I can't say that, you know what I mean? Like, you know, so how do I now take my experience of meeting with people that was being diagnosed or working as a college counselor and seeing people stuck, you know what I mean? And now change that narrative, or help them change that narrative and move that energy into their life, right? I'm very passionate about moving people forward, because it was just irritating me. Like, no, you can have the life you want, right? You can do that, because it irritated me so much that people was just giving up on their life because of, you know, because this trauma had happened to them, or because this thing had happened to them in their past, that they felt like they had no way to create their future, you know? And I'm like, no, we gonna do it. If you can shape it in your mind, you can have it in your life. And I'm gonna help you shape it in your mind so you can have it in your life. Now, that's gonna take some work, but we gonna do this.
Absolutely. So opposing counsel, you said experience.
I'm sorry. I'm passionate about that.
Hey, I like that though. I like
He is the yin to my yin. Here's what it looks like on the business side.
We're gonna see who's right in this situation, right?
I don't know if I want to get in there. It's like double dutch.
So I'm to be honest with you, like, even though a person can have experience, what about the person that has experience but they get burned out? You have to have passion in order to be successful. Like, you. So
here's what I say.
Let's hit the other side first, and we'll break it down.
On the business development side, remember how we started this whole podcast and this conversation? We talked about having to put your customer first, right? So when you have people who are so passionate, like, this is my baby, this is my thing, they tend to get hyper emotional and not want to change, not want to take constructive criticism, not want to take not even constructive critic, but feedback, because this is my passion, this is my baby, this is my thing. A lot of times, people who have extreme passion about things have a hard time creating income. And when it comes to business, business is business. Like, if you're passionate about painting, then go paint. That's not a business. That's your passion. Go have fun with that. But if you're trying to start a business, if you have a passion and let's say painting is your thing, that's what you really love to do, but you also want to make money, then the best thing for you may be to work for someone where you can get that income. Because if you let your emotions cloud your judgment, it's going to be very difficult for you to have a successful business, because there is going to come a time where if you have a very expensive lifestyle, you're going to have to make some decisions that are financially based. And it's going to be very difficult for you to make them when you're really emotional about this thing. When it comes to business, you can have, like, you think the people who sell socks are passionate about socks? No, they're passionate about living their life, right? But where their business funds their lifestyle. And that's where they're able to explore their different passions. Because I don't think people are necessarily even passionate about one particular thing. It's your likes, your wants, your desires, and being honest about what your likes and your wants and your desires. Making socks ain't it. Owning a business may be it, but making socks ain't it. Owning a laundromat, those non-sexy businesses, the people who are most successful at those things, usually they don't even know how to really do. Like, how many times do you see like a CEO or owner of a company? It's like, this is massive, but how do you not know how any of this goes? Because they're good at business and they're able to put people in a place where they need to be, and their passions are explored elsewhere. So that's the only reason why I say you have to have that little bit of experience or not even a little bit of experience. You have to be conscious and focused on that experience. For whatever you don't have, hire someone else. Like if this is your passion, and you know that you as an individual tend to get overly emotional about things, you need to hire someone who can take over that part of it, because there will come times where you need to make decisions for your business that are going to conflict with your passion. It just is what it is. I love design work. I absolutely love design work. I could sit here, design work and research. I could sit here all day, create forms, create graphics, and they will look beautiful. They will look phenomenal. I done spent 3 days working on this thing, and I got other stuff that I need to do. So that's what I was mentioning earlier. Like, just because it's the thing that I really like to do as a business person, I'm going to have to outsource that. And if you're truly, I feel like if you're truly passionate about it, then you don't care whether you get paid for it or not. So that doesn't necessarily need to be a business. So that's my devil's advocate side. Because baby, the conversations with the passionate can be heated. I'll say that.
Okay.
But I think that's more what she's talking about is the more emotional intelligence, right? Like the being able to manage your emotions around your passion and not letting that get in the way and interfere with the process of a business. And we do have people who are very passionate about stuff and not allow the business part of the business to function the way, because they don't have emotional intelligence, right? So they don't know how to really manage the emotions. But like I told y'all, I told her, because I'm so passionate, I'm like, oh, we can do this, girl. We finna stay.
The emotional have to be brought back. The emotional.
And I'm like, oh, okay, right? Like, so I'm like, okay, let's.
That's what made me say both. Right? You have to have both, because the passion will get you going, but you have to like have some level, like you said. So my problem is not enough people know emotional intelligence, which is why I stress that idea of business coach, but like a life coach is legitimately a thing, because emotional intelligence, just like how we're not taught about entrepreneurship, we're also not taught emotional intelligence. So it's a lot of unemotionally intelligent people out there. I don't know if that's a word, but it's a thing that I visually see.
Yeah, but I know a lot of people with a lot of experience, Miss Lachey, and I just feel like they can just walk away. I mean, they just don't have which is why you may have, socks is you use the example socks, and socks is
only because he said the word business. If we're talking about in life, but specifically in business, because the best business.
But socks is a necessity. So a business owner who has a company that's socks, like if I have experience making socks, but it's not my passion, but socks is a necessity. So anybody can pick up and go. But a lot of you can go. A lot of people who sell socks and come out of business and go out of business. But the unique thing about entrepreneurship, once you get to a certain level, like corporate, right? Once you get to corporate level or mass production level, you're not in what we call this sweet spot of entrepreneurship, which is kind of like birthing a baby. Like it's this kind of contracting, like you got to go through this dilation of whatever that idea is that you have created. You got to bring it to the marketplace, right? And to bring a new idea to the marketplace, you have to be passionate about that. So the first person that created socks probably had to be passionate about this, like the people who created the plane. You know what I mean? They had to be passionate about putting a plane in the air, and they went through a lot You know what I mean? That to birth that they had to be passionate. Now, once that was broken, once they brought it to the marketplace, now the people in the marketplace, no, you don't have to be passionate about it because it's already in the marketplace. Now we can mimic this you know what I mean? We can replicate it, we can do it, we can do whatever. But as entrepreneurs, when we're taking our ideas and we're bringing them to the marketplace, this new creative space, and you don't have the passion behind that, this is a new baby. This is a new unique thing. If you don't have the passion, then you may miscarry. You know what I mean? Because
I'm so glad you used that word. This is my baby, because that is how a lot of entrepreneurs.
You may miscarry, but it may be the thing that needs to be brung to the marketplace. Okay, so I have this, what is it called? Condenser mic on, right? That Miss Lachey.
Oh, bone conduction.
Yeah, this bone conduction mics or whatever, right? She's like, you need to get these bone conductor mics. So they're on the marketplace now, but somebody came up with the idea from whatever the old big phones were, like, oh, I need to create, and that person's why. You know, whoever the first person was that created that needed to be passionate enough or have a why to birth the first bone conductor mic, right? You know what I mean? Which is why we talk about a Steve Jobs, or the first person to bring, you know, that the phone or the idea that we could communicate this thing. He was the first person to bring that to the market. Once it's to the market, no, we can now talk about, you know, distribution, or, you know, it being, you know, we don't have to have a passion because it's already here. But if you have an idea that you feel like needs to be, like Keita, I have a friend, Keita Swanson, I think. So she has an idea. It's called dripwear, right? Where it's for African-American women, or it could be for anybody, male, females. And it's a coat that is a towel for your hair. So you know how we go wash our hair, and you know, and how the towel falls off, and you know, you can't really wash it or whatever, right? So she made a product. She made like a coat that you button up, and you know, you wash your hair with it, you take it, it's got the combs and stuff. She's gonna bring this product to market, right? It's nothing like this product ever created for us. She has to be passionate. She has to, her why has to be, there's nothing like this. I'm sick of my towel falling off. I'm sick of my clothes being wet. You know what I mean? Like, so she had to think about every part of this process. And it was many a times that she probably wanted to give up in the progression of this product, right? But she had to be passionate about her why, sleep, lose sleep, think about funding, look through all these different textures or, you know, materials and things like that. Right now, when she bring this to the marketplace, right, she got a trademark patent. Once her patent leaves, it's in the marketplace. Now somebody gonna come replicate that. It might go over to China. You know what I mean? No, they not passionate about it. It may be on Abu Dhabi or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it may be replicating everything, but she's bringing her thing, her baby, to the marketplace. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. That this new idea, this new thing that we're bringing to the marketplace. And I'm saying a lot of us don't bring our ideas to the marketplace because we don't have enough passion under it, you know.
So that's what I want to add to that. And it's your main
that was based off her experience. But if she didn't have the passion, would she have brung it?
So that's, I want to go back to the part you were saying, emotional intelligence, and why that's so important. Because what happens with people, they have the passion, they're very excited. When they bring it to the market, they think it's a fabulous idea and it doesn't do very well, they feel personally rejected. And that can put them into a place of retreat. Or they're so passionate about it, they're waiting for perfectionism takes over, and they're waiting to get it just perfect. So they never actually take action. Like my mom, amazing cook. She's completely fabulous at it. She wants a restaurant. She's wanted a restaurant for years. My dad has no passion whatsoever, opened up a restaurant because he's got the experience in business. Because she's sitting in this emotional state where she wants it to be perfect. My menu has to be amazing. He's opened up a restaurant, a beauty shop, like all these random things. But here, this person who has amazing experience. Technically, she does have experience, but she's super passionate about it. But her passion leads to perfectionism. So she never does what she needs to with this. So emotional, like you need passion, emotionally intelligent compassion or passion.
So Miss Jordan, we heard both sides of this one, right? I think this was a good topic, though, right? We heard both sides. What's your thoughts?
Why you looking like that, Angel?
So
what's your thoughts?
This is my thing. I think that when you brought the question up, Jay, I didn't think you were like, okay, let's see what they're gonna say. But now I'm thinking like there's different levels to that question, passion and business. The reason why I say that is because we have to think about it like this. Anybody that brings any dream, any business, it comes from a within thing, right? It's an inner dream that is started as passion. And then you say, let me research on this. Let me Google on this. So your passion drives you to want to learn more and experience more so you can make that a real reality, okay? So I think that people that may say advocates, people that are into different lines of business, their ideal starts with something that either aggravated them, that they wanted to bring a change to, or they wanted to be an advocate to something that gave them the ability to want to know and be able to voice their thoughts on that and then build on that. But all of that derived from some way, somehow being passion first. Because even for socks, a person might be like, okay, socks is not a big deal to one, but there's people that's passionate about wearing socks because they could put different colors to socks, different art to socks. So I believe that the person that starts this business, not everybody, like, okay, a trucking business. I'm starting a trucking business, not because necessarily is I'm passionate about trucks. I'm passionate about the money that comes from trucks, right? And I'm passionate about the logistics that come from trucks. So, I said, okay, I like this system. This system is so good. It's an A system. It's going to work. Let me go ahead and fuel my fire because that could be generational wealth. So my passion behind that is what? Wealth. Not trucks, because the maintenance is crazy. There's a lot of things that come with trucking. The insurance alone is hella money, So I'm not passionate about that part, but I'm passionate about the longevity that it gives me, my family, and how many trucks I can add. So because it's a proven strategy, I'm passionate about that strategy. So I think passion comes from different angles, different levels, and what will drive you to go through all of the problems just to get to your passion. Because there's sometimes passion can be on the end of it. It might not be at the beginning.
I think that's a good point. It depends on where you're talking about the passion too. Because like you say, it can, like what I say with the socks. Socks are not sexy. You're doing it because it's a necessity that can make you money. And versus is the passion about the thing that you do or you sell? Because I think that I agree with her. That does make a difference because, again, you can have all the passion in the world. And in a lot of cases, when I see people, not every passion, not every hobby, not everything you love is a business.
That's right.
They're not always the same thing. And sometimes what you need to do is do a business that has a good model, that makes good financial sense, and let it fund your passion.
That's right.
That you really like to do.
I love rehab. I love rehabbing houses and decorating, but I would not do it for somebody else.
Right.
I wouldn't sell it, that product.
But you'll invest in real estate so you can get your fix of it and be able to do that here and there where it makes sense. So I agree with her. It is levels. It depends on where you're looking about the passion.
So I think, man, it all depends on who you're talking to, right, and where they're at. Right, because you're talking to a person who's an investor, he's not thinking about no passion at all. He's thinking about turning over his money. Right, so you need somebody who has experience to do what he needs to get done for him to get his money. Now, if you talk about a person who just, like when I first got into real estate, I didn't know anything about real estate. I didn't have no money to invest in real estate, so I had to rely on my passion to get me to the point to where I can get into real estate, right?
Right.
Using my hustle and all that type of stuff. So it depends on where you at. Wow, I couldn't really pick one in that situation. If I had to, I would say passion first for me, because that's where I came from. I had to have that coming in this game I'm in right to the day. But if I had money off top, it would be experience. I want somebody who have experience, right, to do whatever I need to get done. You know, like right now, where I'm at right now, I would say, I say when I first started, right, there was so many things that I went through that if I didn't have passion, I'd have flaked away.
Right.
I'd have flaked away. It would have never. I was up at night, late at night, reading books, looking at YouTube videos, all these different things I had to do. So I had to have passion. And part of my passion was, people talk about when you get into business, you need to have your why. My passion was tied into my why, right? So it was like, I got to do this so my kids will be okay. So I've made that my passion. Okay, this is the way I need to go to get my kids to where they need to be. Real estate is now my passion. Now, what I need to do from this point going forward. You know what I'm saying? So it's both. I don't think you can really take one from the other. But if you just told me I had to pick one, it would be passion. Right? So, but this. Hey, listen, let me tell y'all something. This was deep.
That was
this
kind
was
of
deep. I was trying to figure out how y'all was gonna do this and what angle y'all was gonna take this, and y'all did a phenomenal job. Y'all did a phenomenal job. And she really unlocked it when she said it. It's really multi-layered. There's so many things that you can throw in there to change it up, man. You know, so yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
No, and I think it is.
I said.
Say it again.
I was saying from Miss Sheila and from Lachey, because you guys were both passionate about both.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I said. So she's the yin to my yang. Because I'm telling you now, these passionate entrepreneurs have to have several seats sometimes.
Because I believe that there's people right now that's watching this, and we unlock a lot of answers about their passion and their business at the same time. Because so many people want to start business, but they're like, okay, what I'm passionate about ain't gonna make me money because, you know, how many people I have to take to do a piano lesson, you know, unless you really, you know, people are paying $10, $20 an hour, but that don't turn over. For me, I was like you, Ms. Lachey. I am in a place in my life where I want to see what works for me. So all of that is like flipping a coin. I'll try this for about, 3 months, 6 months. I don't see nothing from it. Okay. I'm not going to say I'm a candidate, but I'm going to put that to the side and keep working strategies that I know is working for different people. So I'm still learning because that e-commerce, Shopify, Amazon, Walmart right now is doing some killer stuff with the way that they take concept of Amazon, they take concepts of Shopify, and now they have now become a renowned e-commerce store. So the truth of the matter is, who am I going to be able to get less, overhead, you know, that Shopify, they'll get you in, they'll reel you in at $29.99, and then when you see you're not making any profit, then again you go to Amazon. They got so many intricate things that if you don't know anything about e-commerce, then you get lost in the sauce. Walmart took all of their ideas and they made it so simple that you just sign up, get your business, everything is going, you pull up, you got it through Etsy got it to this, and it's magical. So the truth of the matter is that where do you find your soft spot? You have to make the research. You have to see what you're passionate about. Niches are really good. But what do I really like? What do I like that will make someone buy from me? So I think that the passion that you carry and how you display it and how you present it will then attract other people that have the same type of passion and the same type of interest that you have. So now you create a momentum and a movement from that passion.
Yeah. But I think you made a good point, Miss Angel. I think you made a good point when you said, I'm passionate about the end result. And I know I talk about this in my Stop It Now workshop, which is, what is your end goal or your means? Is your goal an end goal or a means goal, right? and really clarifying that. And you clarify like, oh no, my passion is my end goal, right? And so I'm willing to do all of this because of the end game, because my why is at the end. And like, because it's already in the market, because it's already been tested, I know if I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then it's going to equal my end goal. And so that end goal is generational wealth or wealth for me. So I'm passionate about building that for my family. So I'm willing to go through the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? And so I think that was powerful, right? Because some people, they don't have they don't have enough passion for that end goal to go through the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? To anchor them long enough to research and go and do everything that's needed to get generational wealth, to stay anchored in it, right? And I think that's what passion does. It anchors you, whether it's in the end or the beginning, right? And then we just pick it up and throw the anchor back somewhere else,
Yeah. Well, listen, this has been a great one, man. This was the first one of 2023, and you guys knocked out the park like always, right? Now, these few episodes coming up, man, I got some great people that's gonna be coming on. So I'm finally really reaching out to some of my guys who are heavy hitters, right? Because I feel comfortable now. I can think, so I can really kind of think and put some questions together. And I'll let you guys know ahead of time so you guys can have some questions for them, maybe look them up or whatever the case is. But we need to get some people on here, man, that's some heavy hitters, man. And if you guys know some people, let us know, man. Reach out to us, send us the information. Let's get them on the show. Let's put this thing together. Let's knock it out. It's time. It's time. All right? You guys, tell them what you do, how to get in contact with you guys, how to hit your social media, all that good stuff. We'll start with the new member, Miss Angel. You can go and kick you off first.
Oh, okay. Well, my name's Angel. I'm a consultant. I have a business here with Love JC Royalty Investments, Ltd Co. I'm working on e-commercing, working on multifamily, residential homes. If you need any type of funding for your residential properties or for your personal business or for small or big, we're able to help you. If you're looking to do any type of e-commercing, any type of cryptocurrency, or wanting to learn more about cryptocurrency or compound funds that you may have, whether it's 300, 100, 3,000, 300,000, and you want to make your money work for you while you're sleeping, let me know. I can help you. You can reach me at Love JC Royalty INV or Love JC Royalty on Facebook, Love JC TV on YouTube, and my number is 678-755-6417. It was nothing but a pleasure to be here with you, Mr. J. Wicker, and Miss Lachey and Sheila. It was definitely a pleasure being here with you guys today.
Likewise. Miss Lachey, you guys want to go first, or Miss Sheila?
Sure, don't mind if I do. My name is Lachey LaRue, and you guys can see my Instagram and Facebook handle there, Cherish Investments. If you guys have any questions, business-related questions, you can email me at larue@cherish-investments.com, which is also my website. So everything is Cherish Investments, which is my business development and marketing agency. And I basically just help entrepreneurs in order to define their goals, to create that solid foundation of systems, and then allow them to create a marketing plan that puts their customer first and allows them to scale. So if anyone has any questions or need any help with anything like that, I would love to hear from you. I answer my own email inbox, so I can get those answered for you.
Dope. Miss Sheila is on you.
Oh, and Sheila, you stay in your passion because she is my business development person. So everything she said was true, right? Because I get to stay in my passion while she get to do the experience stuff and, get all the systems and stuff. And but what do I have coming up? Oh, I have my Stop It Now relationship edition. So it starts tomorrow. I just came out of 31-day Stop It Now challenge. So we're going to do a relationship edition. So if you join my Elevate in Life with Sheila Little group on Facebook, or you can go to my website at www.sheetalittle.com. If you need that information, you could just DM me at I Am Shaping Solutions and I can give it to you. In that relationship edition, we're going to talk about how to sustain healthy relationships and stop doing the things that's keeping you in these toxic relationships. Okay. And so that is what I'm doing as your friend and expert leader in the field of changing your life, right?
Oh, guys, listen, man.
Yes,
As you guys can see, that these are 3 rock stars here, man. Definitely reach out to them. They know what they know. Trust me. You need to know what they know. All right. A little bit about me. So I'm in real estate. So I'm no longer doing residential anymore. So all you guys is out there, I'm gonna get that to you guys, man. I'm done with it. But I mean, I do one here and there, but that's not my business anymore. It's commercial. It's multifamily properties now. So it's 100% doing that. So if you got a multifamily property, any 100 units, 150 units, 50 units, 20 units, let me know. No matter where it's at. If it's a good deal, I want it. I want it. Reach out to me and let's do some business. Also, if you're in the great state of Texas, or in Dallas, Fort Worth area, need something notarized, reach out to me, man. I'm in the streets all the time. So if you have real estate investments in Dallas and you need somebody to go take pictures for you, get a contract signed, need to make sure your tenants is doing what they're supposed to be doing, reach out to me. You know, I got a team. We can take care of that stuff for you. And anything else real estate, let me know. Also, Mid City Network, we have real estate aholics. That's every other Tuesdays as well. We talk about number real estate. We're getting ready to buy a 41-acre land in Kansas. I think it's Kansas. I think it is. So me and the group, the team that we, it's about 6 of us that's on the podcast. So we all get ready to buy that. I probably spoke too soon. But just put, it's right there. So we get ready to knock that thing out of the park. But also, you guys too, if you guys want to invest in some of these commercial properties, have your money working for you, definitely let me know. We can make some things happen. So, hey man, did I miss anything?
I want to give you kudos, Jay, because you are truly a power connector. Because for those of you who are watching, I met Sheila through this podcast. We did not know each other prior to this. This podcast is exactly how we met each other. And we just found that we were kindred spirits. She was teaching what I like, and she liked what I had to say when it came to business development. So thank you, Jay. Thank you, because you definitely put together a good network for that.
I want to be the person that connects people. I'm a connector. That's my gift, right? And I know a lot of people. So you guys gonna start seeing people coming and going through this podcast, man. You gotta reach out to these guys, man, on social media. You know what I'm saying? Hit them up, email them, or whatever the case is, and build your network as well. We all one person away from being truly successful, right? You got a network of people. I got a network. All you guys do. Let's bring this thing together. We make it help somebody. Mm-hmm. And this information that we talked about earlier about how to write up we were talking about earlier about how to write up what were we talking about earlier?
Writing up a grant, using grants and getting funding for your business.
I've been in business for a while. I've heard about grants and everything. I didn't even know how to do none of that stuff. That's why I was asking questions after question. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what this means. So you guys want to learn how to write a grant? We had Anthony. I forgot his last name, man. Anthony. Just shoot me an email or something. I'll give you his information. Anthony Sherrod. He has a nonprofit. He also he specializes in grant writing and all that good stuff. He's phenomenal. But yeah, definitely reach out to me, man. Let's see if we can put something together. Let's make something happen. But 2023 is the year, not because it just turned to 2023 and everybody say that. It's action time. It's action time. And I'm thinking now, you mean to tell me I got a clear head? Let's go, man.
I'm so proud of you, Jay.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. I salute you guys. But stay on for a few minutes before we jump off, man. All right, world. 2 weeks, man. Every second Tuesday? Well, in 2 weeks, right? We jump back on this thing, man. All right. All right. Hey, let me tell you this too before we got the call, man. Miss Danielle, we miss you today. I know you say you got some things going on. Salute to you, man. Your business that you got going on. Keep killing it. Keep killing it, Miss Danielle. All right. Peace.
Peace.